I'm 32, and I live alone in a small house deep in the countryside, far enough from neighbors that nights are completely silent, except for the wind, the crickets, and occasionally my own heartbeat. Last night had been completely ordinary, until it wasn't. I spent the whole day at home, relaxing, catching up on YouTube and scrolling my phone. Nothing seemed unusual. No sounds, no disturbances. It was just quiet, almost too quiet. Around 9 p.m., I went up to my bedroom and got ready for bed. I slipped under the blanket, phone in hand, and started watching a video to help me unwind. But then, faintly at first, I noticed something. Whispers. At least two voices, maybe more. They weren't loud, but they weren't completely silent either. Almost deliberate, like they were trying not to be heard, but not entirely succeeding. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. I live far from anyone. No sidewalks, no houses nearby. If someone is this close, they mean business. I sat up, straining my ears, trying to make sense of the words. It was hopeless. The whispers were too soft. I got out of bed and approached the window. The moment I stepped near it, the voices stopped. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Whoever was out there could see me. I didn't see anyone, just darkness. But I could feel them. The thought of dozens of eyes staring at me from the shadows made me step back quickly. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe they were lost. Maybe they had wandered onto my property by accident. But then a thought gnawed at me. If it was an accident, why were they moving closer instead of leaving? I waited, listening. The silence stretched painfully. A few minutes later, I risked looking again. Still nothing. Every corner of my property was swallowed by darkness, and my imagination began filling the void with shapes that weren't really there. 30 minutes passed before I did something stupid but inevitable. I opened the front door to see if I could hear or spot anything more clearly. The porch light cut a small circle into the darkness. Wind rustled the trees. Crickets chirped. And yet, the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. My eyes darted around, scanning for movement that wasn't there. It felt like dozens of eyes were tracking me from the darkness beyond the light. I slammed the door shut and locked it. Just a gut feeling. But something told me that if I stayed outside even a moment longer, something bad would happen. I grabbed a glass of water to calm myself and tried to shake off the paranoia. Eventually, I convinced myself to go back to bed. Sleep came, slowly. A few hours later, I was awakened violently by the sound of smashing glass. My heart jumped into my throat. I sprinted to the hallway. The back window was gone. Shattered shards littered the floor. Someone had thrown a rock straight through the glass. Then I heard them, the voices, but different now. Louder, shouting commands. Heavy footsteps. Laughter. The front door groaned under heavy slams, rattling the walls. Windows began shattering one by one. I ran back into my room, slammed the door shut, and called 911. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. While I was still on the phone, the door crashed open. Multiple people ran in. Footsteps pounded across the floor. I could hear them moving around, laughing, shouting. The operator said help was 5 minutes away, but 5 minutes felt like an eternity when they were already inside. Panic surged through me. I needed a plan. The only escape route I could see was the small bedroom window leading to the sloped roof. Dangerous, yes, but better than being trapped. I climbed out onto the roof, my hands slipping slightly on the cold shingles. The night air hit my face. Below, I could hear them ransacking the house, checking every room, searching for something, or someone. Seconds later, they reached my bedroom door. "Open up," one shouted. Another laughed, mockingly friendly, like this was some kind of twisted game. A few heavy hits, and they broke in. Their footsteps spread across the room below me, searching, turning over furniture, peering into corners. I stayed frozen, heart hammering, every nerve screaming for me to move. The minutes felt like hours. I could hear them talking in low voices, frustrated. They seemed to be coordinating, double-checking every floor. My stomach churned imagining what could have happened if they found me on the roof. Then, finally, distant sirens pierced the night. Instantly, the intruders scattered. They ran out into the darkness, disappearing as quickly as they had come. I stayed on the roof until officers arrived inside and guided me down. The house was wrecked. Broken windows, overturned furniture, shards of glass everywhere. But nothing was stolen. They weren't after my things. They were after me. Even now, I don't know if I was specifically targeted or if it was random. I don't know who they were or why they came. All I know is, I'm alive. And I'll never forget the feeling of being hunted in my own home on a quiet country night.